Europe's energy strategy has long followed predictable patterns, relying on Russian gas pipelines and American LNG to fulfill its expanding demands that changed overnight. Europe is discreetly exploring a significant LNG agreement with Canada, one that's already generating waves in global energy markets and changing future trade routes for Europe. It's a move toward energy security and diversification for Canada, a game-changing opportunity, and for the US, a serious wake-up call. This isn't just about LNG. It's about restructuring global energy politics. Europe's reliance on US LNG seemed solid until it wasn't. Rising prices, tight trade terms, and ongoing political tensions prompted European leaders hunting for alternatives. Enter Canada. Massive natural gas reserves positioned Canada as a logical choice. Stable political relations with Europe reduced the risk of supply disruptions. Infrastructural improvements along Canada's coasts made additional LNG export routes viable. More importantly, Europe learned from earlier mistakes relying too heavily on one supplier. First Russia, then the US wasn't sustainable. Canada provided something unique, a fresh choice in a rapidly evolving energy market. Canada's LNG journey is only beginning, but it's gaining momentum fast. LNG Canada is one of the flagship projects, with construction currently started in British Columbia. It's likely to become a significant supplier for global markets. Quebec is revising its LNG policies, opening the door for new export projects. Major energy corporations, like Total Energies, are pushing for faster development in Canada, seeing the potential for long-term growth. If Canada can extend its infrastructure and secure more overseas buyers, it could become a leading LNG exporter. Within a decade, the US has been Europe's leading LNG supplier, but competition is heating up. A potential contract between Canada and Europe introduces a new competitor that the US wasn't prepared for. Lower transport costs from Canada's East Coast terminals give it an edge. European buyers are eager to diversify to avoid future trade disputes. Pressure is rising on US LNG exporters to renegotiate long-term contracts to remain competitive. Europe has learned hard lessons over the past decade. Energy diversification is no longer optional. It's a must. Canada's potential entry into the market is part of a broader strategy. Russia's gas cutoff left Europe searching for alternatives. US LNG gave respite, but long-term contracts highlighted concerns about pricing stability. Canadian LNG offers a third pillar of energy security, reducing reliance on any single supplier. Diversifying isn't just smart, it's important for long-term stability. And Europe is wasting no time. For European energy firms, winning LNG contracts isn't just about price, it's about reliability, flexibility, and long-term stability. Flexibility in contracts. European purchasers prefer contracts that allow for spot market access rather than being bound into rigid long-term commitments. Solid political ties. Canada's position as a politically secure resourcer country makes it more attractive ACVE compared to other exporters. Infrastructure expansion in Europe to receive Canadian LNG. Europe is investing in more storage capacity and pipeline networks. This potential deal with Canada signifies more than diversification. It's Europe hedging its bets in a fast-altering energy market. Canada's capacity to supply Europe's growing demand for LNG hinges on one thing: ENFR infrastructure. The Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion tripled capacity for oil exports. Now similar upgrades are needed for LNG. New export facilities on the East Coast are being planned, but regulatory challenges and environmental concerns could hinder progress. Partnerships with global energy giants are helping FastTT track some projects. If Canada can overcome these difficulties, it will cement its role as a worldwide LNG leader. China has been discreetly constructing its global energy network, and Canadian LNG could become part of that strategy. Here's why this matters. China is lowering its dependence on Middle Eastern gas by diversifying suppliers. Canadian LNG is a perfect fit for China's upgraded refineries and expanding energy needs. New trade Partnerships might provide Canada access to both European and Asian markets, enhancing its global reach for Canada. This isn't just about Europe. It's about becoming a prominent participant in the global energy market. Europe's interest in Canadian LNG isn't simply a short-term fix. It's part of a long-term goal to build a more robust energy network. Future ambitions could include adding LNG storage capacity across important European hubs, incorporating Canadian LNG into Europe's broader sustainable energy strategy, developing strategic ventures with Canadian corporations to gain long-term supply contracts for Europe. This is about more than supply. It's about building partnerships that last. This isn't just about Europe and Canada. Its part. Canada might earn a position as a top-tier LNG supplier, rivaling established heavyweights like Qatar, the US, and Australia. A growing reputation for reliability will allow Canada to negotiate new deals across Asia and Europe. Investment in energy infrastructure will likely attract more international partners and boost Canada's economy. Global impact will rise as Canada cements its role in future energy security discussions. This transformation won't happen overnight, but Canada is no longer only a regional player. If this LNG deal materializes, Canada could earn a position as a top-tier LNG supplier, rivaling established heavyweights like Qatar, the US, and Australia. A growing reputation for reliability will allow Canada to negotiate new deals across Asia and Europe. Investment in energy infrastructure will certainly attract more international partners and boost Canada's economy. Global impact will rise as Canada cements its role in future energy security discussions. This transformation won't happen overnight. Yet Canada is no longer only a regional role. This isn't only about exporting LNG. It's about reshaping global trade routes. Canada's LNG expansion creates two critical shipping corridors. Pacific Corridor, easy access to Asia, allowing Canada to tap into China, Japan, and Korea's increased energy demand. Atlantic Corridor, excellent for Europe's supply needs, offering an alternative to Middle Eastern and Russian routes when new LNG terminals develop. On Canada's East Coast, global shipping networks will respond. More competition for LNG routes means new investment opportunities for ports and logistics hubs in Europe and North America. Control over shipping routes means influence in global energy markets. Canada's potential to dominate both corridors positions it as a game-changer in energy logistics. Europe isn't just searching for LNG, it's rushing to acquire the best deals and build new alliances. Canadian LNG adds an additional layer of competition among European countries. Germany and France are striving hard to secure long-term Canadian contract tracks, intending to minimize dependence on US and Middle Eastern gas. Eastern European nations previously reliant on Russian gas are seeking to introduce Canadian LNG into their supply lines. The UK is adopting a different approach, negotiating separately to maintain its energy independence post-Brexit. This is more than an energy race. It's a reshaping of Europe's geopolitical landscape. This isn't just about securing energy. It's about redefining Europe's geopolitical alliances. Energy isn't just a commodity. It's leverage. Canadian LNG could become a diplomatic asset, redefining Canada's role on the world stage. Stronger ties with Europe will create avenues for deeper collaboration on infrastructure and climate measures. New partnerships with emerging markets like India and Southeast Asia will diversify Canada's trade portfolio. Tensions with the US could escalate as Canadian LNG competes with American exports, shifting the balance of North American trade as Canada's LNG projects are gaining speed. Environmental worries are driving up protests in Quebec and British Columbia, have raised questions regarding pipeline expansion and its impact on local ecosystems. Climate campaigners believe that investing in LNG undermines Canada's environmental commitments. Energy companies nonetheless refer to LNG's importance in reducing coal dependence globally. Balancing economic expansion with environmental responsibility will be critical. Canada must walk a tight line. This prospective LNG deal might change everything. Global trade, energy security, and alliances What do you think will Canada's move redefine? The game? Or will the US push back harder to maintain its position? If you found this insight valuable, hit the subscribe button to stay ahead of the newest global shifts. And, as always, we'll see you in the next one.